So, as you guys know, in the last few years, Kody has received a lot of heat from fans about how he treats, well, basically everyone. His wives, his kids, pretty much everyone except Robin. Which is why we need to talk about the truly bizarre antics that he has displayed throughout the past several years. Hey guys, it's your girl IQ, and today's deep dive is exploring the world of Kody Brown. We're taking a look at his dysfunctional family relationships, his struggles in plural marriage, so many of his controversies, his outlandish behaviors, and mind-boggling antics, all to try to piece together the man behind the camera. So buckle up, guys, and let's explore the selfish, egotistical, and infuriating bizarre world of Kody Brown. So, on with the show.
Talking about my body, I feel like I'm being passed around like a rag doll.
I don't have a head wife in this family.
I just don't see plural marriage in the same light that I used to.
I'm just done with this conversation. I'm done.
Time you've got to have love and you got to have forgiveness in a relationship. You will burn yourself down. You will burn yourself down. You will burn yourself down.
Do you remember when Kody was more likable? He was a husband who, don't get me wrong, had many faults, but at least back then he at least tried. He tried to be a good husband. So what the hell happened to this guy?
I like marriage, and I'm a repeat offender. I have adopted the faith that embraces that lifestyle and like to reward good behavior. So if you're good with one marriage, they figure you'll be good with two. I hope they think I'll be good with four.
The difference between younger Kody and present Kody is the difference between night and day.
Blah, 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 blah. Just vomit more bullshit. Vomit more bullshit. God, I'm just sick of it.
He's like a whole different person. And honestly, we have had a front row seat to witness Kody's slow descent into madness. And I know I'm not the only one that sees it.
You can continue in the vein of your little world, but I want you to understand mine.
What is the nanny and her husband doing? What does the nanny do?
I hope everybody enjoys their Thanksgiving.
Here's Johnny.
You guys, after that, if I haven't earned a click of the like button for this, I don't know what else I can do to earn it. So come on, guys, encourage me to make more videos like this by hitting the like button. Okay, it takes 2 seconds. You help me, I help you. It's win-win. Seriously, guys, do it, please. Okay? I'm not gonna beg. All right, yes, I am. Please hit the like button. So the start of our journey begins during Kody's formative years, and it will really give us a very interesting perspective of accounts from his childhood friends. Probably one of the most common themes that we see with his friends is that they thought of him as a show-off, as a showboat, and someone who craved lots and lots of attention constantly.
One thing's for sure, Kody hasn't changed a bit. He's the same Kody. He likes the limelight. It's no surprise Kody went public with his lifestyle.
There were even a few rumors back in the day in town about Kody's behavior and how it was described as him having a more feminine side.
When we were in high school, we kind of thought that he was gay. He just had a very feminine side to him.
But in the end, the town knew what he wanted, which was tons and tons of wives.
I tried to be fashionable. I tried to be, I mean, nowadays you term it metrosexual. That
Kody is
you're
very metrosexual.
a fashionable guy who might be in touch with this feminine side.
And I think the most telling part wasn't that his classmates thought of him as a showboat. No. What shocked me the most was the epiphany that some had about his new lifestyle, which really clicked in their head. They were like, he has such a needy and demanding personality that this lifestyle is perfect for him. This is a man who always has to be the center of attention, ever since he was little. And actually, one of his high school friends summed it up perfectly.
When I found out that you were polygamous, then it's going to sound kind of weird, but I just kind of saw it as kind of a built-in way for you to be the center of attention all the time, which is exactly what you'd always been. I saw it. Yeah.
That's funny.
This is how I could always be the center of attention. How can you not be with 4 wives and 16 kids,
Do you guys see Kody in the same showboaty way as I do? Because every time it was mentioned on the show, I was like, yep, exactly, precisely. And by the way, it wasn't just his high school friends that noticed. Oh no. This observation would happen throughout the show again and again and again.
Initial impression of Kody is that he's a showboat.
You noticed that as well? Yeah, Kody likes to put his best foot forward. He enjoys the fact that he has long hair. He enjoys the fact that he wears nice clothing, and he's hip and he's cool.
You're sort of, though, the moon, and they rotate around you.
Well, that's very flattering for a big ego.
Well, that's, I think, sort of the image that we see.
And that he likes the fact that he has 4 wives.
He likes to be the center of
Yes.
attention.
Yeah, definitely.
So here is this attention-seeking man, but for the most part during this time, he was pretty happy-go-lucky. He believed in the principle of plural marriage, and at this point, he at least tried to make the effort to treat his wives equally. An emphasis on the word try. Actually, big emphasis on the word try, but at least he did. I mean, nowadays, I would dare to say he emotionally abandons most of his wives.
Well, abandoned, please. I take the word back because I take offense to that word of abandonment.
Oop, all right. My bad, Kody. Let me try it again. I would dare say that Kody passive-aggressively tries to push the other wives out of his life by withholding love and affection and attention and kindness and patience, all while flaunting how perfect his favorite wife acts, her behaviors, and how much he loves her and doesn't need anyone else's love.
I have all the love I want, and you guys sometimes feel like you're pining constantly for me to, give you some.
Of course, he would never, ever walk away, you guys. Never. It's totally up to the wives to leave.
It's a double standard. They can leave whenever they want. I can't.
It's them who's not committed, not him.
When Mary had an affair, she was leaving my ass.
He can ignore you, emotionally neglect you, and then withhold love and affection, but he's fully committed, guys. He's fully committed, ladies.
I feel immense pressure all the time for satisfying emotional needs of a wife that I have sometimes no interest in satisfying.
And that's because he is a good husband, guys. Do you not understand how much this man sacrifices for his family?
I think we miss the idea of us, so we don't miss each other.
I've been waiting for you, honestly.
And I'm not coming.
I know that.
He is so underappreciated, not respected, not valued. Do you know how hard life is for a polygamous man? And if you don't know, let's refer to the countless number of times that Kody tells us about it. Oh, poor, lonely, polygamist man. who suffers the most while protecting his clan. His wives gang up on him, sad and lonely. The torture it brings to be male and the only. What a sad, lonely life for this husband of 4. Go give him attention and love and adore. You guys, I can't. I hate the way Kody always presents his role in the family as the sole and only male, and that his sad existence is the one that suffers the most in the family. It's actually pretty damn infuriating. I mean, come on, ladies. Tell me you feel the same way and that it would annoy you beyond anything. Each time he keeps whining and whinging about how hard his life is. You guys, I can't.
Maybe not so different from some of the human world, right? Sometimes if girls, they stick together and
you don't even know.
By the way, Kody also told this sad sob story about how polygamous grooms have it so hard on their wedding day.
Wedding days for polygamous men aren't necessarily an easy day. I feel kind of sad for a polygamous man on his wedding day because he really has such a challenge and balancing act that it's almost impossible to fill an intimate relationship with your new bride while being observed by all your wives. I didn't connect with my bride on our wedding day.
What?
I didn't connect with my bride on our wedding day.
What? No.
I didn't connect with my bride on our wedding day.
No. I'm gonna say it again. The audacity. You guys, the audacity. Oh my gosh. Now let's go back to the time that he was at the zoo on his 2-week-long, let me repeat, 2-week-long honeymoon with Robin. And remember, this was all around the time that Christine was at home, very pregnant, in tears, and falling apart. And here he is off gallivanting for 2 weeks, and he has the nerve to talk about what a tough life that the men have.
Then the male's very happy, of course, when he has a bunch of girlfriends cycling, so he's able to do his job as well. We've had
Does it all happen at the same time? Like, do they cycle at the same time?
Yes, just like human women. Yes, they will often sync up together, so the male has a lot of work ahead of him.
Sounds like hell.
Here's one of my favorites, okay? That polygamous men never have the same support system that the women have. That he never, ever gets a guy's night out, you guys.
Moms are out tonight doing something fun. Girls' night out thing. I don't get that. I don't get a guy's night out. Really.
We can make it one.
But they're all out doing the bonding thing. And tonight, I'm actually taking Sean and Brett out for a guy's night out on Sin City. I don't get that. I don't get a guy's night out.
He always had these things called Testosterone Tuesday, where he would go out with his guy friends. He was always a much better husband when he would come home.
I don't get that. I don't get a guy's night out.
Poor Kody. Just hold on, Kody. What about all the sacrifices that your wives make? You know, having to share a husband for starters? What the hell is so hard about your life? Please, let us know. And this clip always comes to mind, you guys.
And if I were to be giving attention to another guy, how would it make you feel?
The vulgarity of the idea of you with 2 husbands or another lover sickens me. It seems wrong to God and nature. I understand this seems somewhat hypocritical. I don't know how to get around it.
Just look at him. Look at his logic. How hard it is for him to just visualize Mary with another man. And this is just a hypothetical situation. And he can't stand it even in that moment. And now it's time to discuss some truly bizarre things. And I'm telling you, Kody Brown is the gift that keeps on giving. Please tell me you remember he wanted to run for office.
Listen, I might be suffering delusions of grandeur. I wanted to go. I wanted to run for office. I wanted to get in control of my destiny.
It was a magical moment that even his wives pretty much clowned him for.
But I figure if I could go and run for office there, I might be able to change the world or change our world.
This is the first I'm hearing that he wants to run for office. So, yeah, that's kind of strange. In Utah, like that would mean we'd have to move back to Utah.
We just play that back one more time.
Listen, I might be suffering delusions of grandeur. I wanted to go. I wanted to run for office. I wanted to get in control of my destiny.
This is never the response that one wants from anyone, let alone your significant other, when announcing a political run. Kody, man, that's probably not a good sign, and you probably need to seriously reconsider your delusions of grandeur. Actually, guys, hold on, wait a second. Let's entertain this idea for a second. What are the odds, guys, if he ran? Do you think he'd actually win? And can you imagine what his campaign would be?
What do you think is more important, politics or people? We think people.
Blah, 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 blah. Just vomit more bull. Vomit more bull. God, I'm just sick of it.
Just because we're small doesn't mean our ideas have to be. Don't you think it's time we elect someone with big ideas?
Can I have my big boy panties so I can be in charge again?
Vote Kody Brown for president. He's the most virile man on the ballot. He has over 80 years of combined marriage experience. And he's already the president of his own village that's basically a small town in itself. Vote Kody Brown for president today. And now we have to mention the nacho incident. It's infamous, guys. And if you haven't heard this one before, it is going to infuriate you. Now, as you guys already know, when Kody and Robin met, everything was so magical, the birds were singing, and it was wonderful from the beginning, and she just knew they were going to be soulmates.
Even if it's only going to be for, a little while or whatever, Kody's my soulmate. I have a list of things I wrote 2 years ago that I wanted in a potential mate. Kody is him.
But unfortunately, Christine did not have that same experience. And what Kody said about their time together in the beginning during their courtship is sincerely and truly cringy beyond belief. Now, if you haven't heard the nacho story before, lean in close and remember to unclench your fists as we dive into the story further. Did you know Christine and Kody were almost a couple that never was? And the culprit? A plate of chili cheese nachos. I'm not kidding, guys. It almost ended their courtship.
But watching her eat a plate of nachos nearly doused Kody's growing affection for her. Kody, there was a chili nacho cheese incident that nearly derailed this courtship.
I know, he was so silly.
Did you even realize
that any relationship, please?
So to go more in depth about this particular incident, we're going to read an excerpt in their book, Becoming Sister Wives, so that we can really go over every flawed logic in detail that Kody described. When we set out on our road trip, actually, you know what? No. Let me do it in Kody voice, because you guys like when I do that, okay? When we set out on our road trip, I was convinced that Christine was the cutest girl in the world, although she was a little chubby. Back then, I was young and superficial enough to care about physical appearances. And after we'd been on the road all night, we stopped at a gas station. I'd been drinking soda pop and staying awake, and my stomach felt sour and upset. Just thinking about food made me queasy. Christine went into the Quickie Mart and bought herself what seemed like the largest portion of chili cheese nachos that I'd ever seen. The sight of those nachos turned my stomach. I couldn't watch her eat them. She must have been starving because she was eating so quickly, and there was chili cheese and nacho cheese everywhere, man. Looking back, I hate myself for the thoughts I had at the moment, but the sight of this chubby girl in my car devouring chili cheese nachos for breakfast put the brakes on our relationship, man.
Please. Me wolfing down nachos. Come on.
But does size matter to you, Kody? I mean, were you grossed out by, you said she was chubby and she was eating the nacho cheese?
I will be honest, I was not attracted to Christine in any kind of physical sense. I mean, I look back in retrospect and I wonder, was that fair? But I can't even look there because we have children together, we have a life together, we have a relationship, and we found our sweet spot.
All right, let's finish this excerpt. It brought out the most superficial and shallowest side of me. Really? That's the only time, Kody? I still like her. In fact, I've liked her very much, but the nacho experience cooled my attraction a little. Well, a lot. There's more, because Kody explained in even more shameless detail how in retrospect and decades later, how much this event repulsed him.
So you were not physically attracted to Christine?
That's an understatement.
You were grossed out by her?
I won't say that, but the nachos grossed me out enough to make me go, okay, I'm waiting.
How does it feel to hear her? That's horrible.
I know, you guys. It's disgusting. But we have to keep on moving forward. And I don't think you guys realize how many bizarre and cringy things this man has done in the past. How about that whole ignorant and sexist comment about PMSing? Do you remember that? If not, let me just remind you, let me refresh your memory, let me set the whole scene for you, because there is a backstory to this. Now, it all started over a fight between Kody and Christine over his friend, Ken, who I actually showed earlier in this video. Ken was Kody's high school friend growing up, and they were both members of the LDS church back then.
Kody and I always got along through high school, good friends.
Ken had some pretty disparaging things to say about Kody's change in religion and their way of life. And he also made it known, even during that time, that he believed they were all going to burn in hell.
And we personally feel like he's got an issue come Judgment Day.
But it's his issue. It's not our issue.
Well, I feel bad.
When you love somebody, you still want to,
It's not like, if he goes to hell, so be it. It's not my problem.
Well, fast forward months or years later, because I'm not sure exactly what the time frame is, but later on, Ken texted Kody that he should divorce 3 of his spouses, which completely enraged Christine, that his friend could disrespect his family like that. Christine heard about the text and demanded an apology from Ken, and Kody refused to even ask him for one. So Kody basically said it would look like he was neutered and that all of his wives controlled him.
He's not available, so we don't have to worry about
For
it.
an apology.
I'm not going to ask him for an apology.
Hard?
What? Ask him for an apology?
You know what?
Listen,
It's
you offended
defending
my
our
wives.
honor.
Would you give me an apology, please?
Why is it that hard?
Seems reasonable for me to say, hey, Ken, you need to apologize to my wife. You've hurt her feelings. It seems reasonable request. It doesn't seem reasonable to me, though.
And Kody, of course, defended Ken, saying that it was all a joke. But throughout the show, Ken has always shown a side of passive aggressiveness, and it has nothing to do with joking. It's obvious what his true feelings are.
I couldn't figure out what was going through his head, and made no sense to me how he could do such a thing. I just thought he was stupid.
You guys want to know if I followed my heart, I think.
I should hope you did if you made such a
All right, well, I guess
crazy decision.
in that
Ever have your arm around a girl or 2 at the same time?
Oh, never 2.
No,
So funny.
I did, but I got that thought out of my mind early. Keith, this is Guy, my little brother. Keith's wife, and she's Brooke and Morgan's cousin.
Oh, wow. He's got a long family.
Yeah, a little different than you are, but
So come on, Ken, just say it directly and make your thoughts very clear anyway. And just say it directly. You're making your thoughts very clear anyway.
We've had this great experience over the past couple of days with Ken, and I knew that he was open and accepting. And so I was a little bit surprised at some of the stuff that he said.
I like Ken enough, but it's not like he's open and very warm and very inviting. So I was very surprised to see his family there, but they were so open and inviting and friendly.
By the way, what are your thoughts on passive-aggressive behavior? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you do it? Do you despise it? I want to know your thoughts below. And then he lambasts Christine for acting like a princess.
Like foot stamping and hair tossing. I don't like the princess behavior that you better do this or I'm not. It's a game and I don't like it. And now it's just making me mad and the poison has gone through the whole family. Thank you, Christine.
Yeah, because having honor for your family is really princess behavior, Kody. Actually, isn't that kind of poetic justice? Because that's what ends up happening to Kody years later with the pandemic. Interesting.
Her ego is holding on to this so hard that it's like, ooh, here's my offense. And I'm going to just beat the whole family with this. I swear this is all driven by her pride. Now I'm pissed.
And bottom line, guys, this is all about semantics. Kody said Ken was joking, but we know good damn well that Ken meant what he said, and his little sly, passive-aggressive comments over and over again, we know his true feelings. So just stop playing the word games, Kody. If this, all of this so far hasn't been bad enough, Kody stooped even lower by completely invalidating Christine's feelings and then blaming her for all of it, basically on her, get this, guys, hormonal imbalances due to PMS. I'm not kidding.
So I just pulled Christine aside. I've got to talk to her. I want to be really careful here about emotions or hormonal changes and stuff like that. I think you're not being very accountable for how you're behaving. You freaked out about Ken, set everybody on eggshells. I don't know how to handle that anymore because it's gotten so erratic that it just sets me off on the defensive. Some people refer to it as PMS. I don't know what's going on.
Now, if anyone's furious right now, the best solace I can offer is this recent photo of Christine, happy, single, and free. And I guess that's the best instant revenge that I can offer you guys. So I hope you're feeling a little bit better. Now, as you know, this video is covering all of Kody's bizarre behavior and just everything that really led up to his descent into madness. Now, do you really want to know what I think is one of the main triggers, one of the most pivotal moments in Kody's history that really accelerated all of this? Now, listen, I know you guys, there's going to be some of you that disagree with me, but still, you got to hear me out. Just let me tell the full story. And to do that, we have to go back in time, right around when Kody really loved and admired how strong the women in his family were.
And through the process of the show, I think you get to see me get schooled several times. So I think it's very important that America see that I'm a man who's just well-trained.
Now remember, at this point, Kody had been married for over 20 years to 3 of his wives, and he really loved and admired how strong the women in his family were. He liked how they were outspoken and how they spoke their mind, and he advocated for these things. And he talked about it all throughout the show.
These women will not do what I tell them to do. It's never happened.
He doesn't really try either.
Well, I have tried before, and I got the smackdown.
And things really didn't seem to be a problem back then. Or at least, if it was a problem, he kept it bottled up and festering, and he didn't tell anyone else about it. I don't know if they took him all that seriously. even the kids.
You know,
That's
the only
probably
people I'm
true.
able to boss around at home are the kids. And that's just in respect to cleaning their rooms, you know, and doing their homework.
All right. Listen, can you guys Mariah, do something besides sit? I need the table cleared off so these two can do their homework. Sorry, I didn't know. Is anybody listening? Stop. Why are you sniffing that?
Because it smells good.
Okay, listen, we're going to have a little chat about markers and sniffing. Sniffing glue, paint, or markers is very harmful to your body.
It's actually scented markers, like they're supposed to be smelled.
Really? Wow, what were they thinking?
But that was until a very pivotal chance encounter that I believe changed the path for Kody and permanently changed the way he wanted to run his family. And you know what that was? It was during his visit with the Dargers. Now, the Dargers are another polygamous family. And I'm sure you've heard the quote before, or at least something similar to it. But it's basically that the fastest way to kill something special is to compare it to something else. And you guys, this is why comparing yourself or anyone to anyone else is so dangerous, because it plays mind games with you. And while the wives even noticed it at times, to me, it became a complete obsession to Kody during this trip. No joke. And wait until I walk you through how this ended up being Kody's complete and utter breakdown. And to give a little bit more background, both the Dargers and the Browns drove from their respective cities and met up in a mutual spot for a joint family vacation. And immediately noticed how put together the wives were.
How are you? It's nice to see you.
You guys don't look like you've been traveling for hours.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how the ladies could look so well made after traveling.
So then the family piles into a temporary spot for the night where they discuss the events for the next day. And listen, it's late, they've been driving all day, but even in the midst of all this chaos, the Dargers have their stuff together. They already talk about how they're going to be ready and out the door by 8 a.m. the next day. And you can just see Kody and his family struggling and trying to come up with the precise time when they're ready to leave in the morning.
But don't tell me 8 and have me leave at 10 because I'll be really irritated.
We're telling you 10 then and we're planning us for 8.
guys 10 and tell us 8.
So when are we started?
Our family, you know, we are leaving from Mary's house at 9.
Yes, and she now has the food in her car, so she needs to know what time she needs to be here.
And you guys, pay attention to Kody's body language while Christine is talking, because trust me, it will be relevant a little later on in the story.
I think that the Dargers are more organized than us. Absolutely. They are.
Are you looking at his body language? He's leaning forward, which means this is super important to him. Have we ever seen Kody lean in like that during any other talking heads or confessionals? I mean, this conversation really meant something to him. And then him clenching his fists, like he's holding back negative feelings and emotions right now. So make note of that and let's keep it moving. So by now it's the next morning and you can already see how frazzled Kody is getting.
The plan right now is everybody gather and meet at Mary's.
We need to leave in an hour and 15 minutes. See any lawn chairs? Hey, where are my slaves? Why are you guys sitting? I have a whole supply of candy right here.
We're always in a state of chaos.
I honestly don't know if there's really anything that will fix it.
I need a sweat rag.
And here, Christine makes an excellent point.
I think that all of us go in with good faith every time we do anything with a plan. I just think that there's 5 separate plans.
And you know what? She's absolutely right. There are 5 separate plans for 5 very determined individuals. So it takes a little longer to get things organized, to get things done, because everyone has to have their input. And remember, this is how this family's been doing it for over 20 years at this point.
And through the process of the show, I think you get to see me get schooled several times. So I think it's very important that America see that I am a man who's just well-trained.
At this point in time, they're running a little late and Kody is pissed.
Hope Joe won't be mad if we're a little bit late. Thank you.
Okay, wait. We have to. Okay, you've got all the coolers in here. You weigh the most. We have to distribute
Okay,
the weight
talk
better.
nicely, calmly, chill.
I heard Kody raise his voice a little bit.
And then somehow, miraculously, they end up making it on time. And the Dargers were impressed, but he also said something that was quite astute.
I'm glad I don't have to do 4 separate houses, but I'm impressed they're on time.
Right there, buddy.
I really didn't expect it. I'm trying to keep up with the Joneses or with the Dargers. I don't know.
He knew that it was a struggle for Kody to keep up with him, and he could tell it was something that Kody wanted to do. Now, I think we've already established how much attention and adoration and praise that this man needs. So, probably one of the worst things that could happen is for all of his wives to start admiring another man. And not just any man, but another polygamist man. So, first it was Mary.
Get along with somebody who is like, yeah, let's do this and let's do it on time. I could be married to that. I'm just saying.
I liked what I saw in Joe, that he was just very organized and let's just make it happen. It was not a dig.
Fine, I'll leave me alone. You guys are packed perfectly.
There are things definitely in that family that I think we could benefit from.
I guess it's time to move out.
And then it was Christine.
I myself don't consider Joe that much of a control person as everybody else does, just because I've watched him with his family. The way that he says, everybody get loaded now and they all do it, I think it's because they just respect him fully. I think he just has a good communication style with them. That's just what I've seen.
And you know what? Even Janelle pipes in.
We could adopt some cultural things from them.
I'm telling you guys, this is not the best combination for a man like Kody, okay? And can we just take a pause for a second? Because we've got to appreciate the poetic justice in this story, because his wives have to deal with taking comparison and throwing it out the window every day. They see their husband with other wives on a daily basis. This is something that they have to struggle with. This man does it once and he loses his damn mind. All right, let's keep going. So they drive to their final destination, which is beachfront property. And once again, the Dargers have it figured out.
At first glance, you would go, oh my goodness, this is going to be an organizational nightmare.
It was the fastest decision making ever.
We're totally prepared to have whoever, wherever.
Joe had pulled up the website. He had the layout of what the homes look like on this webpage. And then he had this paper with names on it and who was staying where.
I don't assign rooms. I just rock, paper, scissors it.
I don't assign rooms. I just rock, paper, scissors it.
You know?
My gosh, yes, you guys. Kody really said that. Let's hear that one more time.
I don't assign rooms. I just rock, paper, scissors it, you know?
Are you guys starting to sense the desperation? Because I can. Do you think the wheels are turning in Kody's head yet? And you guys, it just gets cringier and cringier from here. And the obvious comparison keeps coming up.
I like Joe and his family. I like how he runs his family. I like how his family is. I think they're a good family. I don't mind if some of our kids get together with some of Joe's kids. Dating, I'm saying it. We're able to get it done really, really fast. And I love that.
Now, by this time, it's apparent that Kody has had enough. So Kody attempts to take charge, and I guess feels a little inspired by the Duggars.
Let's start with where the kitchen that we cook out of will be.
But he gets shut down with the quickness.
No, let's not start with the kitchen. Let's start with the bedroom. And then we can have the kids start working.
Look at his face here. Look at his face. Because it was during this time that the reality of how things were really began to sink in. And this, you guys, is really where I think the birth of Grumpy Kody began.
Wow, it seems like Joe does lead his family and they lead mine.
Oh, maybe we need to shut up more.
I'll shut up. You can tell me where to go.
self-obsessed, and he loves having women worship him.
And I wanted to bark orders and have them obey. I'm the heavy in the family.
I hope everybody enjoys their Thanksgiving. Your rules are taking a toll on our family.
God, I'm just sick of it.
Hanging out.
They're adults. Bye-bye.
Out. I'm leaving.
What the hell? Man, what can we do?
Oh, maybe this guy is patriarchal. Maybe this guy is narcissistic.
I could have stayed in Las Vegas. I'd have saved a fortune.
Good talk.
I mean, even the kids, when they were comparing notes on their family, even they picked up on the difference.
Like a team.
Your family sounds very organized.
Yeah, actually, Papa Joe, that's one of his strong suits, if you will. He has a plan for everything, basically. I mean, for the most part.
My dad doesn't.
Our parents kind of like they all have something to donate. Like whoever knows the most in the certain subject area is kind of like who's in charge at the moment.
My dad knows the most in every subject. So.
Our family's just in sheer chaos all the time. Yeah, you can tell. Yeah.
The Browns were completely opposite of the Dargers. They were organized, while the Browns were chaotic. And you know what? Kody is not the best natural leader.
Our dad knows a lot. Some of the things he tries to know goes overboard with, and like he totally fails.
And the wives were pretty much in charge.
Is in your house like what your dad said goes? Your mom's ever like argue with it?
Well, I think our dad's just big, bald, and intimidating.
And then the adults spent their last night at dinner, which was probably the coup de grace of the entire trip. It was a buildup of everything over the past few days that had been thrown in Kody's face. And it was during this time that there was talk about how the Dargers lived in one big home, and they were puzzled by the fact that the Browns were living separately.
They were 5-bedroom, no matter how big it was.
Someday, if you never have to reset again, try out the idea of sharing the kitchen, sharing all the meals and stuff.
We won't go there again because we've done that.
All 5 of us will have an opinion on this. I kind of felt like Joe and his wives feel like that it is a better way to live.
And then the Dargers introduced their mission statement, which, as you know, later inspired the Browns to write their own.
Same thing with the decorating. What things will I sacrifice myself that I'm okay to sacrifice in order to have this end, a unified family that loves one another, that the children get to see their father every single day, and that we also get to share our relationships with each other.
Wrote a family mission statement. We all sat down separately and wrote down everything that was a major value for us, and we brought them together and talked about them and blended them into one mission statement on paper. And I felt like it was kind of a roadmap for us. If we'd get going this direction, we'd be like, oh, hey, wait, we're really missing out.
I was a business major, and mission statements really came into vogue, and we were being taught about mission statements. And it came to me that we're trying to really establish not just this family, but as organization. Let's define what our values are. Let's really define what we want to be as a family.
The comparisons were shocking, and you could just see the little wheels in Kody's head continuing to turn.
Joe, from his childhood, actually, I think, has understood plural marriage. He literally architected his family. He made a plan. I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't understand it. I just felt the call.
While Kody spent decades of his life running around like a chicken with his head cut off, a man without a plan, just winging it, all while the Dargers had successfully and meticulously planned their life down to a T.
I've been running our family a little bit like a fireman, putting out the fires. Maybe it's time that we actually design something for our family and make, this is the vision for our family. I think this is something we should work on.
Yay! Yet again, another thing of the Dargers that we can take into our lives and improve on.
That was the start of it, guys.
I feel stymied because everything we've done has always had to be by committee.
Is that where you guys want to go?
No.
No,
There are very few decisions I'm ever allowed to make in this family. That I've never been allowed to be in charge of this family. When have I been in charge of this family? When? When have we ever not made every single decision by committee? When?
Rule. He takes all the consensus and makes a decision.
Sure.
How do you not do that right now in our family? You take all the information.
I don't feel like I've ever been empowered as the head of this family, ever.
And can I just say, I think it's fitting that he said that during their session with their therapist, Nancy. And then years later, Nancy had this to say.
From my perception, you're both exceedingly controlling people in different ways. You do it with charm and humor. I've never seen you not get your way.
Just food for thought. And you know what? Almost a decade later, they went back to see the Dargers. And obviously, the family was in a state of emotional chaos once again. And all of the same feelings and resentments and insecurities from their first trip were brought up during this one. Because at this time, the second trip was right after Kody had announced the pitch of his one house idea. Something that pretty much had manifested almost 10 years before that were inspired by the Dargers. And I think this was his switch where he really started to get frustrated with wives who pushed back, who questioned his authority. Because I think after that initial trip, he really took stock of his life and how he wanted his family to act and how he wanted to be treated. And I don't know if you guys picked up on this. They all drove to see the Dargers the second time. It was just the adults, and they were all in either a van or an SUV, but they all fit in one car. And when they drove back from this particular trip, Kody was in a really dark place.
The five of us went and saw the Darger family in Utah. So on the way back from that trip, it was late at night. I was very tired, and I was having a long, deep discussion with my wives about sort of some of the attitudes that we've manifest since living in Flagstaff.
And it was so dark and so bad that it even scared Robin.
When we were traveling home, we were kind of talking about kind of what we were thinking about for our future. And then all of a sudden he went really dark. It frightens me. It scares me. It really frustrates me.
And now for probably my favorite part. So by now, you guys know my theory about how the madness began. But we didn't even begin to touch on how Kody's bizarre behavior after this point affected his family.
We're all as safe as can be. I think that it's time to lift the restrictions. Because when I'm home, I do exactly what I should. Yet my girls can't see their siblings. What does the nanny do?
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
And listen, the words Kody and Flagstaff and pandemic are never a good combination. By the way, what's been your favorite Kody stage? So far, we have docile Kody, we have grumpy Kody, and we have insane Kody. I want to know which stage wins in the comment section, so make your votes known now. And do you want to hear something that is probably going to rock your world? Kody claimed that in the beginning, the very beginning, his flair for the dramatics wasn't even fully captured on camera.
Well, I feel like I am much more dramatic than the show allowed me to be. I had to tone it down a lot.
Can you imagine, ladies? Can you imagine living with this man? Oh my gosh.
But I don't think that I'm up for any criticism.
Are you serious?
Well, the flair for the dramatics we got, because by now he has even more than made up for it in the last few seasons. Am I right? All right, so let's start here. When Kody tweeted out that he didn't understand why Sister Wives had a new opening. You know what I'm talking about. The opening when Christine says she wanted a family, not just the man, and it had really happy music.
It just makes each of us better.
I think we have something really awesome. I wouldn't want anything else.
I like sister wives. I wanted the family. I didn't just want the man.
Seems like destiny. Like we should have all been together from day one.
Love should be multiplied, not divided.
But in the last few seasons, it's been super ominous. And Kody picked up on it. Here's what he posted. Actually, let me do it again. Let me do his Kody voice. I really dislike our new sinister opening music. It makes such a difference in how the show feels. Hashtag sister wives. But really, Kody, you really think it's the music that makes the difference in how the show feels? It's the music and not you? Are you kidding me?
You can continue in the vein of your little world, but I want you to understand mine.
What is the nanny and her husband doing? What does the nanny do?
I hope everybody enjoys their Thanksgiving.
Here's Johnny.
Kody went from the beginning of the show as this man who seemed to really love and adore his wives, and he basically transformed into this monogamous man who was forcing his other 3 wives out the door.
Relief. Some kind of relief from the burden and the woe of a loveless marriage.
I've been waiting for you, honestly.
And I'm not coming.
I know that.
Are you in love with Janelle?
I love Janelle.
Are you in love with Janelle?
Janelle wouldn't tell you she was in that place with me either, if she was being honest. Are able to have a marriage that's, if you will, lower in attachment. I don't even know.
That is what we saw, Kody. That is what most of us saw. And it's okay, guys. Listen, Kody took a minute, but eventually, even he began to see how creepy he was looking on the show. Here's what he said. Okay, I'm laughing at how creepy the video journal was. Maybe I should lighten up. The whole coronapocalypse thing has just been a big downer, man. I know I keep saying man when I do his voice, but it helps me get into character. I feel like he would say something like that anyway. All right? Don't judge me. Are you sure about that, Kody? Because the way I see it, you have been the big downer. You. And you know what, guys? I don't think that Kody thought he would get as big of a backlash as he did with the fans. Because a month later, he was once again on the socials trying to excuse away his creepy and bizarre behavior. And I mean, even he saw the creep factor. And he uses the word creep over and over again in his posts. Listen to this. The corona apocalypse made me crazy. I became the creepy FBI agent interrogating everyone about their behavior, where they've been, who they were seeing. Did you go see a friend? Did you go to a store? It was so stressful. Hashtag Corona Blues. Hashtag Sister Wives. Really, Kody? It was so stressful for you? What about your family? How about the time that you accused Christine of using Isabel's surgery so that she could gallivant on vacation? Yep, that's a good start.
I don't understand how he cannot know how much pain she's in. So anyway, Maybe if he was around more, he'd see this more. God, just whatever.
My belief was that it was no longer about Isabel, her needs, and what was best for her, but rather that Christine wanted to take advantage of the time and really get a vacation out of it. She started traveling. She started traveling extensively, and it was making it so that I was only able to see the kids part of the time. So when she presented the idea of doing the surgery this year during the summer, during the COVID, I became antagonistic.
To doing the most now that once your spine is straight.
Being more pain-free, so like driving without pain, waking up without pain, going to bed, being able to breathe without pain.
Aww. She's in pain every day now.
Yeah.
Savannah told me how much like you would hurt on the way to school and stuff.
Yeah.
What's
This is not a vacation. This is a medical procedure. And I think medical procedures have to happen, and a surgery has to happen.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna run.
Okay.
Awful.
Or even the hostility that you had towards your sons.
I can say, hey, don't go to Mexico because I'll miss
Gabriel, you're not the head of this family, okay?
I understand that.
All the blame has come to me, hasn't it?
It has.
Every bit of it. You guys were blaming Robin because Robin, was she defending me?
No, we were blaming Robin because you were spending most time with Robin.
This is just fundamentally a problem in plural marriage. I mean, we literally have two households behaving very different. I'm the head of one of them. Once again, more polygamy double standard.
All right, well.
I mean, I think you think it's silly.
No, I don't. I just don't know how to reconcile it because I can't leave my boys out hanging out.
They're adults. Bye-bye.
Just trying so hard to get his dad to like have a relationship with him again.
It's on Janelle and Christine. And the narrative that they've created with their kids is, oh, dad is like this.
It's perspective.
No, it's not. It's your mother made choices and Christine made choices.
Mom?
And that caused the families to be separated.
Basically, it's a blame game.
Yes, and your mother is the Teflon queen. Screwed me and she screwed you. And then every time I'd bring up the rules, she would walk out of the meeting.
I mean, even mild-mannered Janelle had enough.
What I'm talking about, I think you understand the big picture that I have, and I want you to just respect that. Okay?
Yeah, off.
Oh, and here's another winner. Not everyone at the gathering is hostile. Sad, but it only takes one hostile person to make it difficult for everyone. Gee, guys. I wonder which one hostile person made things difficult for everyone else. Does anyone have any guesses? Jeez. I just saw a vodka ad on our show. All the drama makes people want to drink.
So I'm like, I'm...
I swear, you guys. I swear. And this post is just the icing on the cake. Me during hashtag Sister Wives commercial breaks in case the Dr. Pimple Popper commercial comes on. That's so odd, Kody, because that's exactly how we feel when we see you. I guess we all have something in common. And probably one of my favorite posts was when Kody started to fight back on social media. So here's what a poster said. The difference is that my husband can't run to another wife's house and hide for 3 years. He has to stand up and face the issues. Marriage is about choosing to love your spouse even when it gets hard. Fix your issues with Mary, and all your other issues will be fixed too. And Kody responded by saying, "Do you live in my homes? Do you think you know me? Grow up. You are making huge and unknowing assumptions, man." Well, it's true. We don't live in any of your homes, Kody, and we don't know entirely everything that's going on. But throughout 16 seasons on the show, you can't tell us that there isn't some truth that has been revealed that we can see with our own two eyes. And what is evident and apparent, sir, is that you've completely and utterly lost your damn mind. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of my Bizarre World series. I have so many more in the series for you to watch, and if you want to watch something slightly different, I just added something equally entertaining right on your screen right now. Also, head over to my channel, and let's continue our journey in the next one.